Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. So I am very excited to share today's video. I've been working on it for a while. Today I am sharing with you 5 easy and family-friendly Instant Pot recipes that you can make for dinner any night of the week, and it will save you time and money. And all of these recipes have been tested by me and my family like them very much. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. I am a full-time working mom and I have 2 kids who are 10 and 7. And they are in a lot of different activities after school. And so it's always a challenge for me to try and get dinner on the table in a timely manner, especially during the work week. And my Instant Pot is one of the ways that I do that. And so let me tell you what I'm going to make today. The first recipe that we're going to make is a creamy broccoli, macaroni, and cheese in the Instant Pot, which was totally delicious. We loved it. I would recommend this recipe 100%. We are also going to make some ground beef taco meat in the Instant Pot. This is my favorite way to make ground beef taco meat. And I've showed this before on my channel, but not in a dedicated Instant Pot video. And so I'm excited to show you that recipe. I'm also going to be making a 1-pot Instant Pot meal for baked potatoes with cheese sauce, broccoli, and bacon bits. Totally delicious. It's a great option for dinner, especially on those busy nights. I'm also going to be making a salmon with garlic mashed potatoes and greens. This is a recipe that my sister has been telling me to try for a while, and I finally tried it and both my kids loved it. And last, I'm going to be making some chicken burrito bowls. So this is a Mexican rice dish that has chicken in it. You can serve it in a bowl with all of your favorite burrito toppings. So let's get into this video. I'm going to show you these 5 Instant Pot recipes, and I hope you enjoy.
Did you pack the flashlight, the blanket, and the mat?
Okay, so if you've never made macaroni and cheese in your Instant Pot, you have to try it. This was my first time trying Instant Pot mac and cheese, and it was so creamy and delicious. I would definitely recommend it. So I'm starting out with my Instant Pot and 1 pound of rotini pasta. I'm also adding some butter and salt, and then I will add 4.5 cups of water. All of these recipes will be linked down below if you guys would like to try them out. Out of all 5 that I made, I think this one was probably my favorite. So after I have my ingredients in the pot, I'm just going to set the valve to sealing and then put it on manual for 5 minutes. This will cook it at high pressure and it cooks the noodles very quickly. Once the noodles are done, you can go ahead and let the steam out. Now, sometimes when you cook beans or pasta, you will get some sputtering from the valve, and that's totally normal. What I like to do is just put a little paper towel loosely over it to catch any of the splatters, and then I can go ahead and wash everything up when it's done letting out the pressure. So there are my noodles perfectly cooked. I'm going to put this on the saute function and then go ahead and add my broccoli. So I just have some fresh broccoli here that I washed and cut up into florets. Make sure that you leave them a good size, because after they cook, they will start to break up a little bit, and you don't want like broccoli mush in your mac and cheese.
It's a real adventure, the trail you're looking at. I'm glad you came. For a while I thought you might be bailing.
So after the broccoli has the chance to steam a little bit, we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. I'm going to add some garlic powder. This will give it a really nice flavor, along with some Dijon mustard. And then the dairy in this recipe is actually evaporated milk. Make sure that you use evaporated milk and not sweetened condensed milk. I've seen people do that before, and it is very unfortunate and would not taste very good. I'm also adding some cream, or half and half. I think I used half and half actually. And then I'll stir that around just to incorporate it, and then we can go ahead and add the cheese. So the warmness of the pasta and the broccoli is going to melt the cheese. I had some block cheese that I crumbled up and some sliced cheese. I basically just went into my cheese drawer and pulled out all of the sharp cheddar cheese that I could find. And then I'll just stir that together until it is all melty and combined.
Same yellow shirt you used to wear, but 1,000 years seem like almost no time now. This guitar
All right, and that is it. Your macaroni and cheese is done. Definitely taste it and see if it needs any more seasoning, either salt or pepper. If you don't care for broccoli, you could also leave that out, but this was delicious. All of my family loved it, especially my kids, and I will definitely be making it again. Okay, so the next Instant Pot recipe that I'm going to share with you is my ground beef taco recipe. This is my favorite way to make taco meat, and you might not think that it's worth it to make it in your Instant Pot, but the truth is like if you like that really fine, crumbly, tender ground beef texture that you get at restaurants, this is a great way to achieve that. So I have some olive oil in the bottom of my pot here, and I just have that on the saute function. I'm going to put 2 pounds of ground beef in there and just saute that up until it is cooked through. I'm using my Pampered Chef meat chopper to accomplish that. I'll link that down below. It's available on Amazon. And sometimes I get questions about which Instant Pot I have as well. I have an 8-quart duo, so I'll link the one that I have down below as well. Once the ground beef is cooked up, I'm going to add some Worcestershire sauce and then all of my seasonings. I'm not going to read them off to you, but there's like cumin and garlic powder and chili powder, salt, pepper. I basically mix those all together in a bowl so that when it's time to add them to the ground beef, I can just add them in one fell swoop. So I'm going to sprinkle that in and get it stirred around.
Do you still remember how I played for you?
I'm also going to add some beef broth to the pot. Very important when you're cooking in the Instant Pot. Always remember that you need at least 1 cup of liquid, regardless of what you're cooking, to ensure that the pot will come to pressure. If you don't add enough liquid, sometimes the burn signal will come up on your Instant Pot and it just won't work. It won't come to pressure. So you definitely need that liquid in there. So I'm going to set this to sealing, and then I'm going to cook this on high or manual pressure for 3 minutes. That is all it takes, is 3 minutes. You could definitely also make a larger batch if you wanted. Right now I'm just making 2 pounds, but definitely consider making extra because this freezes great for later meals. So you can see here that it's done. There's still pressure in it because this little red dot is up. So once your ground beef has had a chance to do a natural pressure release for about 10 minutes. What natural pressure release means is that you don't do anything. You just let it sit and naturally depressurize for 10 minutes before you let the steam out. So to thicken this taco meat, I am going to use some masa flour. That is what the recipe calls for. If you didn't have this, you could try using like a slurry of cornstarch and water, or maybe a slurry of regular flour and water. I always keep masa in my pantry just for this recipe. So go ahead and stir that in, turn it on the saute function so that it will bubble a little bit and let it thicken up. So this taco meat does turn out a little bit looser. You can see there's some liquid in there, but we just use a slotted spoon to take it out of the pot and serve it up. This is probably the best taco meat that you will make at home. The original recipe calls it like drive-through taco meat or something like that, but it tastes like the ground meat that you would get in tacos at like Taco John's or Taco Bell or any fast food restaurant like that.
I was crappy, but you sang along and I thought you knew.
Okay, so here's what our completed tacos look like. I'm just serving that on some flour shells with sour cream, cheese, some lettuce and tomato. You could use this mixture also for burritos or taco salads, whatever you'd like. Next, I'm going to show you how to make a 1-pot chicken burrito bowl in the Instant Pot. So I'm starting out with some chicken breasts that I've diced up, and I've went ahead and pre-seasoned this with some taco seasoning. I just put it into a Ziploc bag and added 1 packet of taco seasoning, and I'm adding that to the Instant Pot with some chicken broth.
I could die to keep you near. We've got a fire in the tent. It's 5:30 a.m. Let's be the kids who left.
Okay, so I just stirred that around to make sure everything was incorporated. Next, I'm going to add some frozen corn. I believe the original recipe called for a can of frozen corn, but I have a can of corn, but since I have frozen corn in the freezer, I decided to use that. I added a can of diced green chilies and also some salsa. You can use any kind of salsa that you'd like. I will say that I think the diced green chilies did make this dish a bit spicy. So if you have young kids eating this or kids that are sensitive to spice, I I would maybe cut that in half or leave those out. Next, I'm going to sprinkle my rice over the top, and then don't stir it around. Just make sure you leave the rice just like that. Don't stir it. And then close your Instant Pot, and you can see mine was set to 75 minutes. I think I cooked a pot roast or something like that. But all you have to do is put this on high pressure, and I'm going to cook this for 10 minutes. While that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and get my ingredients for all of my toppings prepped. So I wanted to make sure that I top these with some fresh cilantro. I love fresh cilantro, so I'm just getting that in my salad spinner here, and I'm going to rinse that off. I'm also going to shred some cheddar cheese. You could definitely use pre-shredded cheese with this, which is probably what I would have done, except I didn't have any on hand. In fact, the only cheddar cheese I had in the house was this white cheddar cheese, which was totally fine. It turned out great. And so I'm just shredding this up on a block so that we can top our bowls with it. I had to give Murphy a little piece of cheese. You guys don't see me give him too much food scraps while I'm cooking, but I do try to indulge him every so often. So after my cilantro was rinsed off, I went ahead and spun that dry, and I'm going to chop some of it up so we can put it on our bowls. The ingredients that you top this with is definitely customizable. You can add whatever you want that you normally put on top of your tacos on these burrito bowls. I think the unique thing about this recipe is that everything is together all in one pot. So you have your rice, your corn, your chicken, everything all together. I will mention also that the recipe did call for beans. Connor really doesn't like beans, and so I left those out and just cooked them separately, but definitely you can add those if all of your family likes them. I also chopped up some romaine lettuce to put on the top of our burrito bowls, so I'm just putting that in my salad spinner and going to wash that off. So for the beans, I'm putting 1 can of rinsed and drained black beans into a saucepan, adding a little bit of olive oil and some minced garlic. I'm also going to add some salt and some cumin and just let those sort of simmer slowly on the stove while our burrito bowls cook. This is a great option if you have, one person in your family that doesn't like beans. Definitely just cook them on the side and you'll get the same effect.
I don't need to go over old and useless words. What you said, what I said, that might have made it worse. We're here again at the same spot where we kissed the first time. I swear my pain's far away, long gone by now. We've got a fire in the tent. It's 5:30 a.m. Let's be the kids who left, get in trouble again. Let's talk, got nothing on you.
If you guys are new to my channel, you might not know that I'm totally in love with my salad spinner to wash everything, all of my produce, not just lettuce and greens. So those are available on Amazon. I'll link mine down below. I am also going to cut up some cherry tomatoes after I wash them for this. I'm just going to have them and put them in a bowl. You could definitely use regular tomatoes for this too and just chop them up into bite-sized pieces, but that's what I had on hand. So once the chicken and rice mixture is done, you can go ahead and let the pressure out manually. I just like to make sure when I do this that it's out from under my kitchen cabinets, and I try to direct it under the range hood and turn the fan on is what I normally like to do. So now you can see that the red button is down, so all the pressure is out. We're going to remove the lid. And then we can go ahead and fluff up our rice. The recipe also calls to add some cheese to this mixture. That's totally optional. I think that I did end up doing that, but you can see how everything is perfectly cooked. I just think it's so great how you can put chicken and rice and everything in there and it all cooks together. No muss, no fuss, totally easy. So I did add some cheese that made it a little bit creamier, and you can see this is what the mixture turns out like. It was really good. Like I said, it was a little bit spicy from the green chilies, so just keep that in mind if you have people in your house that are sensitive to spice. So here's my black beans. I'm just going to let those sit on warm heat until we're ready to eat. Here are my toppings. I have my shredded romaine lettuce. I put out some salsa, some chopped up cherry tomatoes. I have my shredded sharp cheddar cheese, some sour cream, some olives, some cilantro, and then I also set out some fruit and some tortilla chips. So this is what my completed bowl looked like. This is very hearty and very filling, and it makes a lot, and it's great as leftovers if you want to take burrito bowls for work the next day. Totally delicious recipe. I would make it again. Okay, the next recipe that I'm going to share is a one-pot Instant Pot meal of baked potatoes, cheese sauce, steamed broccoli, and bacon. So the first thing that you'll do is wash and scrub and dry your russet potatoes, and then I just have them on a tray here lined with foil. I poke them with a fork, and I'm drizzling them with some olive oil, salt, and pepper. What we're going to do is cook these in the Instant Pot and then put them in the oven to crisp them up. Now, I've made baked potatoes in my Instant Pot many times, but I have never taken the extra step to crisp them, and I think they're good either way. If you don't want to take the time to crisp them up in the oven, I think they'll be just as good, but it does add a nice little touch. So once those are seasoned, I have my Instant Pot here. I'm going to add a cup of water into the bottom, and then you can place your trivet in or a steamer basket, whichever you would prefer. Today I'm using a steamer basket, but you could also use the trivet that came with the Instant Pot. I will place my potatoes into the basket and set the lid to sealing.
We could get back to this, catching up what we missed, or we could just relive.
So I'm going to set my Instant Pot on high pressure for 17 minutes or manual pressure. The original recipe called for 20 minutes, but since my potatoes were a little bit smaller, I reduced the time a little bit. After those are done and the steam is released, I'm going to put them back onto my baking tray and sort of roll them around in the oil and salt that is on there, and then I am going to crisp these up in the oven. These will cook at 450 degrees for about 10 minutes or until they are crispy on the outside. So the next part is the broccoli. So I'm going to, again, use my same steamer basket to steam that broccoli. I'm just putting it into the steamer basket and adding 1 cup of water. Then I will put the lid on. The original recipe called to cook this for 3 minutes. I probably would not cook it that long the next time. It was a little bit overcooked for me. I would maybe try 1 or 2 minutes. I know that there are some recipes out there for 1-minute broccoli, so try that and see if it's cooked to your liking. While that's cooking and the potatoes are crisping up, I'm going to chop up some bacon. So we are also going to use the Instant Pot to cook up the bacon and make a cheese sauce. So I'm just taking about a half a pound of bacon and cutting that into small pieces, and I'll set that aside. Next, I'm going to grate my cheese for the cheese sauce, and I am just using some regular sharp cheddar cheese with my box grater. If you guys don't have a box grater like this, they're super inexpensive, and hand grated cheese just tastes so much better than the prepackaged stuff, and especially if you're making a homemade cheese sauce, I think that it does taste a little bit better if you do grate your own cheese. So now that the broccoli is steamed up, I'm just going to take that out of the pot and set it aside in a bowl. I'll just put a cover over that so that it stays warm while I make the bacon and the cheese sauce.
Summer night, for all again we can spend, the firewood till it's end, nobody's gonna force the morning light.
Okay, so I'm going to use the saute function next on the Instant Pot to cook up my bacon. So all I've done is just drain out the Instant Pot and wipe it out with a paper towel really quick. And since you have cut this bacon into small pieces, it's going to cook pretty quickly. Just make sure that you stir it around so that it doesn't burn. Once it's all nice and crispy, I just removed it to a paper towel lined paper plate, and next I will make the cheese sauce. So I did wipe out my Instant Pot just a little bit with a paper towel just to make sure that there wasn't too much bacon grease left in there. I didn't want it to, make my cheese sauce a different color or anything like that. So I'm adding some butter to the Instant Pot. Next, I'm going to add some flour. So if you haven't made a cheese sauce before, it's very simple. Essentially, you just make a roux, so butter and flour cooked together over medium heat until the flour loses its raw taste. Usually it only takes about 1 to 2 minutes. And then next you add milk and seasonings. So typically I add salt and pepper. Sometimes I add dry mustard powder, or you can also add a little bit of sugar too to your white sauce to give it a little bit of a sweet flavor. I know that sounds weird, not very much sugar, like maybe just a teaspoon. Just try it the next time you make my white sauce. I promise you it's good. So next I'm going to add in my milk and just whisk that up and cook it on the saute function until it is thick and bubbly, and then I can add the cheese. So the thing about this recipe I think that's really unique is that it just uses one pot, the Instant Pot, to cook all of the ingredients for these potatoes. So you have the potatoes, the steamed broccoli, the cheese sauce, and the bacon. If you wanted to speed this up a little bit, you could cook some of these components on the stove, obviously, while you were doing other steps in the Instant Pot. I made the recipe as it was written, and so I didn't do that, but that's just an option if you wanted to get this done more quickly. So you can see here that my white sauce is thickened up, so I'm just adding my shredded cheese to that. And at this point, I went ahead and turned the Instant Pot off so that it doesn't burn. The residual heat from the white sauce will melt the cheese. So I'll just stir that around until it is melted. And you do want to taste this for seasoning, see if it needs any extra like mustard powder or salt or pepper.
It's 5:30 a.m. Let's be the kids who left, get in trouble again. That star's got nothing on you. That one's brand new, still it's got nothing on you tonight. We've got a foreign.
Okay, so now that I have all the components completed, I am just going to assemble my potatoes. So I'm just putting my potato in a shallow dish, splitting that open, and then adding the broccoli with the cheese sauce on top. So delicious. And next I will add the crisped up bacon pieces. So I will say this recipe was very delicious and I would totally make it again. I probably would cook it in separate parts just so I could get it done a little bit quicker. But if you only want to dirty one dish, this is a fantastic way to use your Instant Pot and make a great weeknight meal that everyone in your family will love. All right, so the next recipe that I'm going to show you is this salmon and potatoes. So this is also a one-pot Instant Pot meal, and my sister has been talking about this for a while, and so I wanted to try it out. This recipe is from the Food Network website. I'll link it down below. I have 2 pieces of skin-on salmon that I've rinsed and dried and just put them on a plate. I'm going to season them with some lemon zest. If you guys don't have a microplane grater, I would definitely recommend getting one. They're very inexpensive. I'll link the one that I have down below. They make grating lemon zest or any citrus zest really so quick and easy. So I also am seasoning the salmon with some salt and pepper and paprika. So I went ahead and set that aside, and I'm going to start on the potatoes, which will cook in the bottom of the Instant Pot while the salmon steams on top of it on a rack. So I just have some of these yellow potatoes that I got in the store. They come pre-washed, so they're great. I'm just having those and putting them in the bottom of the Instant Pot. I'm going to add some water and some salt, and then these don't even need drained after you get done cooking them. There's only 1 cup of water in there, and so you'll actually just mash them up. You'll see once it gets done cooking. So I also added some butter, and then I am adding this steamer rack. I believe this came with my Instant Pot, if I'm not mistaken. And then I'm going to add the salmon skin side down on top of that.
It's 5:30 a.m. Let's be the kids who left, get in trouble again. That star's got nothing on you.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my lid on the Instant Pot and set this on high pressure or manual for 3 minutes. That is it. Super quick. Once that's done, you can do a quick pressure release. So just go ahead and let the steam out as soon as it beeps and it's done cooking. Like I said, I do try to aim this under my vent hood, especially when I'm cooking salmon or fish. My husband doesn't really care for salmon. Both my kids like it actually, and so he always gives me crap when I'm cooking it, but I don't care. I will continue to cook it. It's delicious. So you can see that the skin was sticking a little bit to the rack here, so I just went ahead and used my tongs to remove the whole rack. That's fine. We don't eat the skin anyway, so I just went ahead and removed that as I put it onto a plate. So I'm going to cover that with a little bit of foil just to keep it warm. and then I will start on my potatoes. So you'll want to just leave the water and the potatoes and everything in there. And I turn that onto the saute mode just to get some of the liquid evaporating, and stir that around with a wooden spoon. The next step is just to add some garlic. So I'm using my garlic press to squeeze a couple cloves of garlic into there. That's going to give these potatoes a really great flavor. The other thing that we're going to do is once we mash these up, we're going to add a little bit of fresh spinach, and that will wilt into the potatoes. That makes this really a complete, one pot meal with your starch, your veggies, and your protein all in one pot. I'm adding some butter, some salt and pepper, and then I'm just going to use my good old potato masher and mash those right in the pot.
That was brand new, still it's got nothing on you tonight.
So once my potatoes are mashed up, I will turn the Instant Pot off, or you could probably turn it to keep warm, and then I'll add some spinach. So I'm just using some fresh pre-washed spinach that I got from the grocery store, and I did chop it up just a little bit. The heat from the potatoes will wilt the spinach, so you don't have to worry about cooking that. I'm just going to stir it in really thoroughly. So here's the completed meal, our mashed yellow potatoes with spinach. I have a side of lemon on there to drizzle over the salmon. And this was a really creative and definitely really good meal. I would make it again for sure.
All right, so thanks so much for watching this Instant Pot video. If you guys liked it, I would appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up. And let me know in the comments below what recipes out of this video that you're planning on trying. Like I said, all of these recipes will be linked down below if you want to try them out. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for your support, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
Did you pack the flashlight, the blanket, and the map? It's a real adventure, the trail you're looking at. I'm glad